just about to get another one underway. I found this slab up in the workshop there, and it's an acacia board. So I'm going to rip this down the middle, clean up these edges, invert it, and maybe put a, I don't know, 5 or 6 inch river of resin in there, probably a black resin. So that'll get a new project underway. Okay, so yeah, we'll just make a shallow pass to start with. It's about 50 mil, and that's all I've just got enough to get through there. So here we go. So there we have it. But that's it for the cut. That's the main cut. So I'll just show you the state that it's in. I have cut it, but as you can see, there's also a little bit of flimsy bit there. That once that's swapped out, that'll become the edge of the table. So we'll get rid of that when we need to. Having cut it in half, I've got a measurement here under 300 mil, which means I can use my jointing machine, combination jointer and thicknesser. I'll take about as much as I need to off, or almost as much, so it's about 50 mil now. Get about 5 or 6 mil off each side, I guess. Bring it down to about 40 mil. It can be a noisy bugger. Try and do this while the wife's not around. I do like to take just little bits off at a time, but I don't want to work my machinery too hard. However, I'm going to be there for quite a while if I don't take a bit more off. You probably hear that working a little bit harder. Anyway, we'll get that through the thicknesser now, and then we'll catch the rest. We'll catch the rest of that when we turn it over. Board's thicknessed up, planed up to 38 mil. 38 mil will be nice because I want the end product to be 35 mil. In the meantime, we've got a pretty messy job here, so I've got to clean up all these live edges. So I get the grinder onto that. I've got some nice grinding wood carving bits to cut saw bits, but that'll be going outside. Take my cut saw blade, basically a rasp on steroids. So we shall just take this off. So as you can see, so we come outside just to avoid filling the shed up with dust and crap. Only gets cleaned out once a week or so. So it's only Monday, so we've got to watch out for that. So just give you a look at that. It's actually got a nice little bit of grain in there. But we won't see any of this. This is all going to be filled with resin, so it'll be black resin. So nice key in there with the grinding for the resin to stick. Those boreholes out, they're actually quite deep, which means I'm going to have to mask up, come in that side as well, so that looks like that might even go all the way through. So I'll get some masking tape on those. I think we're either making a big coffee table or a small 4-seater dining table. So that'll determine just how much resin I need. The resin's pretty expensive, so it's just one of those things you've got to really decide what to do. So we'll put masking tape down here. We've also got mould release, which will rub all over there, so nothing worse than getting all the resin stuck to the material. I'll also seal it up with some gap filler, just some basic gap filler, and set that underneath here along all the joints. Don't want any leakage. So there's a fair bit of mucking around just to get all that done. But tonight we're only going to seal it up anyway. Got everything ready to go. I've put a mould release on here. I've also sealed it up with quite a bit of gap sealer, just simple old gap sealer. There's gap sealer underneath there, gap sealer in the end. Just going to mix up a bit of this. It's not necessarily a resin. You wouldn't do a big fill with this, but it's good for just sealing up. Just want to seal up all those edges just to stop any air bubbles coming out, or try and prevent any air bubbles coming out when we do the eventual pour. To start the pouring process, I've got everything, the boards here, sealed them up last night. You'll see quite a bit of gap filler. It's basic old gap filler in there. These were actually clamped down with gap filler underneath and sort of glued down to the boxing. So we should be all good there. There's a few cracks and bits and pieces here, so hopefully it doesn't all flow through. Now, I've only got probably about 1 litre, a bit over 1 litre, 1.2 litres. It's going to take 6 litres in total. Also, I need to manage the thickness of each pour. Given that it's a casting resin and not necessarily a deep pour resin, it could be the case that 10 or 15 mil is max, so I might have to do 3 pours. There we go. See what's going on there? I guess you can. We've got a few bubbles in there. We'll blow them out shortly. All good. Put this coat on last night, and you can see here it's just sticky enough. Still a bit sticky. That's just right for the next pour. The coats here with this Lucy Clear is a little bit different. It's not necessarily a deep pour resin, so you need to do three. In this case, there's 40 mil, so we need to do 3 12.5, 15 mil pours, or 3 pours eventually to get it up there. So this is now a perfect time to get the second pour in. That's been sitting for overnight, really, late last night, late afternoon until now. So it's a slower curing process, which sets a lot. There's not a lot of shrinkage or anything in it. So very happy with the first one. Haven't lost any. So we'll get all masked up and get underway with the second lot. So we seem to have got the big jammy bar out. Seem to have got there. We might have broken off a bit of the floor of the moulding, but we're there. I'll just get the camera and bring that around. First use of this machine, Festool. So let's give it a good shout. We'll see how we go. Got to get all this cleaned up, and this is the bottom. So we'll get all that cleaned up. It's just, I've got my big dusties here. I've got the big Carbotech dusty, and we've got the little vacuum. That is proprietary to the Festool router. So we'll get some sucking up done there. So the piece is really nicely planed up with this new Festool. Beautiful. So pretty much set to go. We've got the top of that table done now. Still a few little holes had to fill there, just a little bit of black CA glue. But we're pretty much on measurement. So we've got about 35 mil there now. And that will come down maybe 2 or 3 more passes, about 2 or 3 mil there. We should all be good. We're going to give it a good sanding off. Last night we got a dose of resin filler. That's a sort of sealer, very thin two coat sealer. So that just basically soaks into that loose bit of grain there. This is actually the outside of the tree. Put those inside to get some sort of river table effect. So look, we've just got to now decide which is the top and which is the bottom. I've already sanded this side here with a 60 grit just to see what we've got. So I'll get the other side sanded off as well. So depending on how they come up, they've sealed up nicely. That in there was quite soft, so it's hardened up nicely there. Beautiful. Anyway, we'll get the sanding underway. So I won't bore you with all that. Needless to say, there's 60, 80 grit, 120, up to maybe 240. And at that point, we shall try and work out top and bottom, and then we'll get our legs on. Of course, we've also got to trim the edges as well. So I need to put a round over and maybe a right angle bevel on the bases as well. Just put an undercut bevel on this tabletop. We've got this sitting up the right way. So this is the top. I want to put a bevel on the top and a round over on this side, on the top of the table. So I've just got to set my I've got to set my machinery up here to probably take about half of that off, about the bevel to finish about there. So that lines up nicely. That lines up nicely. Right, so I'll just set up my round a bit here. So a nice little round over on there. I've already cut these round overs, and so I'll just go over it one more time just to show you what's going on. So it's given us a nice little round over on that. Bevel edge on the other side. All good. So starting the sanding process, 80 grit to start with, and then we'll move up to 120, 150, 180. So this will start telling us what the end result's going to look like. There we go. This morning, putting together the final piece of the puzzle. What we'll do is get these little inserts that we'll put through here and bolt these legs on. Lining bit, and that'll give us a nice. I've got a bit of depth on that tape. You can see there. Just to we know how far we've got to go. As you can see, the bolt just goes that deep. pretty good fit, but in any case, generally just drop a little bit of Loctite in there. Make sure she's all good and tight. Don't try and overdo it, just in and out, back it in and out. So we've got, not going to crack that. If we break that, we're in a world of pain. Just get that in there nice and flush. We probably should just round that off a little bit. So I'll put a little bit of countersink on there as well, just to get that nice and flush. All good. Very good. So we'll go ahead and do all of these together, and we'll have the legs attached.